Today, I want to share with you how I would approach polyamory in 2024 if I had to do everything all over again. Hi, my name is Brandon Bunch, and if you're new here, I've been in the polyamory community for over 20 years and in the non-monogamous community for the same amount of time. And if you are over the age of 30 and are looking for how to get started in polyamory or polyamorous relationships, you've come to the right place. I absolutely enjoy being able to share my experiences and my tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. So let's have fun. Let's have a little bit of a conversation. So when I got started in polyamory, it was around 2003, 2004. And at the time, it was before social media. It was before YouTube and all that stuff. And we just had basic websites. Audio, video chat was a thing, but they weren't as sophisticated as they are now. But they did give me basic access to the community, and I was able to basically stumble my way through various websites and stumble my way into polyamory. So when I began, I had heard little whispers about polyamory through the sex positive community, and I began to investigate that, and that's when I met some people in the polyamorous community. One of the first groups that I met was a polyamorous triad. I am so grateful that I got to meet them first because they showed me what a polyamorous relationship can look like and operate like. I didn't have things based just solely on theory, and I didn't have things and ideas based solely on other people's thoughts and opinions. I got to talk with and interact with all three partners in that triad and got to see and hear them interact pretty much almost daily as we were all chatting on the audio video chat daily. So that was my doorway into polyamory. And one of the things that I learned is that communication is super, super critical. A polyamorous relationship of any kind, any style, any structure, got to have really sharp communication skills. Now, I'm someone who has been working in customer service and customer service jobs since he was 16 years old. So I felt at the time that I was pretty good at communications. My job in the military when I first got into polyamory was in communications. However, I learned very quickly that communication skills in relationships are one thing. Communication skills with other people that you're not intimately involved with are something completely different. And when you add polyamory to the mix, it just exponentially explodes things. And so that was my biggest lesson. So I would say that the first thing that I would do differently in 2024 is I would sharpen my communication skills. Mainly, I would focus on these three things. I would focus on learning nonviolent communication techniques. When I say that, I'm not talking about being able to be a hostage negotiator or anything like that. What I'm talking about is learning the basic principles of nonviolent communication techniques so that you can have effective communications with your partners during times of when conflict. Even though you're in a polyamorous relationship, you and your partner are going to have times when you're disagreeing on how to go about things. Being able to talk about those things in a way that is productive really helps keep your relationship healthy and going forward. So I would learn nonviolent communication techniques, and then I would also learn my attachment styles and learn more about attachment theory. You don't have to be an expert in attachment theory, and you don't need to get your whole attachment profile analyzed, but just have an understanding of where your attachment style comes from and where you tend to lean towards can really help in understanding how you go into your communication with your partners, especially during times of conflict. Finally, I would teach myself, I would take a class on learning some nonverbal communication skills, as I've learned that nonverbal communication is about 30 to 40% of how humans communicate. It's probably actually even more than that. We do a lot of nonverbal communication between each other, and we're not even realizing it. And it's one of the central reasons why your partner can say one thing to you, but you're getting that feeling that there's something else underlying it. A lot of times that's because the nonverbal signals that you're picking up conflict with what your partner is saying, and they may not even realize it. So just having the basic understanding of those three things can really help sharpen your communication skills. And there's definitely one of the first things that I would focus on in 2024 if I was to start all over in polyamory from the beginning. Next thing I would do if I was to start over in polyamory in 2024 is I would learn more skills in self-reflection and self-awareness and self-assessment. I would take the time to learn how to really sit down, get better at journaling, get better at really meditating and analyzing myself and learning more about myself, learning more about emotional regulation and learning how to be more emotionally intelligent. This is something that is super crucial to any relationship, really, monogamous or non-monogamous, but specifically when you're dealing with polyamorous relationships, because you're dealing with multiple people, being self-aware is that much more important. And there's definitely some times in my earlier relationships that if I was more self-aware, I think things would have turned out differently. And I'm, hindsight being 2020, wish that I was more self-aware. So what are some of the ways that you can do this? One of the ways that I learned how to do it is to what I call drilling down to find your why. Sitting down with a journal, finding out your reasons for wanting a polyamorous relationship, even if you're in one and you think it's just, you've already talked to yourself and you've already told yourself, hey, this is why I want to get into a polyamorous relationship because I have more love to give, which is the common saying that I always hear. Dig into that. Dig into why, because you might surprise yourself, especially if you're able to, I have more love to give. Why is that? Because I want to experience more. Okay, why do you want to experience more stuff? Because I never got that as a kid growing up. Why did you not get that as a kid growing up? And you can keep drilling down. I would say do it about 5 times, go about 5 levels before you finally will find your center reason why. And you can use that as a compass point. After that, you want to, again, with the journal or meditation, sit down and really think about what you value in relationships. Knowing what you value in relationships allows you to be able to focus on what you're going for. A lot of us in our society, we're taught to use examples media. If you ask somebody what their ideal relationship will look like, objectively, if you look at it, a lot of times people will use an example from entertainment like books, movies, TV, something from their church or spiritual organization. They'll use examples of relationships that they've seen out in real life, people that they're in a relationship with, either from their families or their extended family or even their neighborhood. But we don't delve into it in our society. I think delving into it and finding the values that you hold are super crucial and will definitely help you moving forward in a relationship in a polyamorous community. It will help you be able to nail down when you find, when you're on that date and you want to know if you're compatible, one of the things that can help you easily figure that out is by knowing your values and finding out what their values are. After you've found your own values, then you can start to establish your own personal boundaries around those values. This will also help you out critically with dating, because you'll be able to quickly filter through, hey, this is what I won't put up with, and this is what I will put up with. This is what I need my partners to meet. These are the things that I need them to be able to do for me to have a safe and fulfilling relationship. You can communicate that to your partner, and that way things are going to be a little less bumpy, especially in the beginning. If you're dealing with something like NRE, new relationship energy, it's really easy to get caught up in that. A lot of people also refer to it as puppy love. It's the honeymoon phase when you're first getting together with somebody. A lot of people make mistakes, especially in polyamory. It's really easy to make really big decisions. We're great together. We're going to move in, blah, 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 blah. And the next thing you know, 6 months, 8 months down the road, a year down the road, something that was really tiny at the beginning now is a really huge problem. Like, I knew that they were not, but I didn't realize how big of a deal that was for me. And now we're living together and I've got to now move out because we're breaking up or whatever. So you want to take a step back, find those personal boundaries first before you go into dating. And then you can use that as your filtering mechanism when you're dating. All right, so let me know in the comments below how this is landing for you. Have you started on your polyamorous journey? And what are the things that you've encountered so far? Or these things that you've even thought of? Please let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Okay, and so finally, the third thing that I would focus on if I was to start a polyamorous relationship in 2024 is I would learn to be way more vulnerable. I would learn to have the courage to be vulnerable. This, I think, is this is probably the most crucial part of being in a polyamorous relationship. And I think it's something that's always overlooked. Being vulnerable in any relationship is really paramount, but especially so with polyamory, because not only are you getting into a different style of relationships, you're also learning a whole new paradigm. And you have to be vulnerable with yourself and with your partners as to what you're going through, the things that you're learning, and the things that you're struggling with. And being vulnerable with yourself will allow yourself to be able to fix things that aren't working very well, but also be able to communicate things that you need, your wants, and also things that you know that you've got to work on too. Being in polyamory for 20 years, it has taught me how to be more courageous and more vulnerable, but it's also taught me to challenge my beliefs on things like monogamy. I was not prepared for how much I was going to evaluate and relook at monogamy and reevaluate my whole identity around relationships, especially intimate relationships. That was definitely one of the first challenges. One of the other challenges that I had while on my polyamorous journey was confronting my ideas of masculine and femininity and those energies and how they play into it. I know in 2024, that is a very controversial subject and everything, but at the time when I was going through it in the early 2000s, I came from white suburbia, so I had a very rigid view of masculinity and femininity, and being in these different types of relationship styles really taught me how to challenge those beliefs and challenge those ideas. And I look at things a lot differently now. And probably the thing that I learned to challenge myself on and be most vulnerable about was my own self-talk about myself. Learning that how we talk about ourselves really does affect how we feel and how we outwardly portray, and learning how to change that and learning how to challenge some of those thoughts and feelings that we have really can affect your worldview out there and how you treat and interact with others. And if it's done the right way with the help of a great therapist, you can end up having very healthy and very vibrant relationships. But it's definitely something that's going to take work. You need to be open to being vulnerable and accepting that challenge. All right. So if you've enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below. If you're looking for the next video, click here. This next video is going to be about the myths and misconceptions about polyamory. Can't wait to see you there. And have yourself a good day. Peace.